content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you.
What's good, everybody? What's crack-a-lackin', man? I'm the G with a PhD, man. You tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up with no chasers, man. Hey, yo, I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm back, baby. You know what I'm saying? Just taking time to chill out, man. Sometimes, you know, the grind of YouTube demoralizing. But at any rate, you know, shout out to all y'all, man, and especially the people out there in the chat. Shout out to Barry Little, man. You always hold me down, man. Shout out to you. I see you in here, Damon. Brotherly Love 215. Shout out to Julius Ferguson, Rashid Barnes. Be honest. Thank you for welcoming me back. Shout out to all y'all out there, man. The Average Black Man, Taharka Tassetti, Julius Ferguson, Zab19AA on YouTube. Shout out to y'all, man. But anyway, man, you know, before I get things started, man, like I always do, man, I want to give a shout out to all the haters, man. How y'all doing, man? I hope y'all having a blessed and pleasant evening on this Labor Day. Many of y'all didn't have to work, so, you know, some of y'all did have to work, but for those who didn't, you know, I hope you're enjoying your day, your vacation, extended. But shout out to the haters, man. And also, man, if you just strolling in, man, make sure to like the video, man. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification button, man, so you can stay abreast when I do come on. You feel me? And, you know, I got to give a shout out to all the members of the Green Gorilla channel who helped me to continue to keep this thing going and who stick around, even though I, you know, engage in shenanigans from time to time. So I want to give a shout out to them at this present moment. Shout out to Life of Commerce, Brian McMurray, Apex Prowler, Karen S., The Average Black Man, Anthony Davis, BGS Ibmore, Raphael Brown, Professor Carlton Jones, Lionel Jean Louise, Artisan MC, and Damon Brown. Big up to y'all, man. Big up, big up. Also, I want to give a shout out to Donnell 360, Herbert Lewis, Seven Coast Dojo, Rogish the Buildmonger, Destro 1, Pulpit 28, Michael Ross, Charles Rogers, Papa Didas, Travis King, Adam Williams, and B Hillfire. Big up to y'all. Shout out to Rick Ross, Sandra Jean 955, Brotherly Love, Charles Gilmore, Patricia Colley, 7Q Pitt, Kwaku Asasi, Gregory Oliver, Greg, Antonio Feria, Barry Little, Alan Wiley, Mr. Valentino, Jason Hales, Black Men Being Brutally Honest, Omni Americana, Cameron 87, Deshaun Nolly, Brian Peaks, Nelso, Mike Tomlin is the hottest, Doc LaRock, Jay Charles, Mark Holt, Lee Ways, Jeffrey Speed, The Face, Mark Swift, Show Me, Odd Collard, Donald Watts, Cozy Corner, hiphop.catv, Coach DC, Kashif Caldwell, I Am Black Man, Nichita, Mr. Blue Collar, Barnolas, Kyle J. Sura, I'm Just Jules, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Mr. Heat, Afro Shop, Sir Anthony, MLR, Universal 178, Black Square 404, Rashid Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C-Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, Arthur Unknown, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Kalan Jakala, Ricky Dawson, Cedric Bowman, True 7360, BK Born Shaheed, James Washington, Hostile Adept, W. Pura 1, and Marvin Battle Jr. And oh, I can't forget my brother in heaven, Force Windu. And on my Patreon side, I want to give a shout out to Javon Thompson, Tyrone R. Hampton, Jules Winfield, Dornell Smith, Excalibur, Jason Warren, Soul Prin, Pursuer Prisoner, Taz, Kwaku 217, Dragon 59, Supreme Ibmore, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, Momal, and Asangwa. Y'all deserve a round of applause, man. Thank you so much for supporting me on the Green Gorilla channel. Appreciate all that help and the support. Goes a long way. And if you are considering Becoming a member of the Green Gorilla channel, well, here is how you do it. What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless. So what's good, man? You know where you are, man. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men get to express themselves freely, straight up, with no chasers, man. And again, shout out to all the people out there in the chat. Also, I see that there's some brothers circulating around within the chat. The death of brother Michael Williams. Rest in heaven to that brother, man. We live, we die, but, I know a lot of people are lamenting his death at the current moment. Live your life to the fullest, because you never know when God gonna pull it. In the blink of an eye, faster than the speeding bullet. You know what I'm saying? So, also, rest in heaven to the young lady who recently got killed, man. By the psycho simp. Talking about Mercedes Moore, So rest in heaven to that young lady, even though, I might not agree with some of the lifestyle choices and decisions she was making. She still deserved to be able to live, you know what I'm saying? So that's just how I go, man. But today what I want to do is share, an article with you, maybe 2, about the ambitions, I think, of many, women who consider themselves to be feminist activists. And it's not about equality, I don't think, man. We're past the point of equality. We're moving into a new area, a new frame, a new discourse, a new narrative about what the ambitions, the goal, the outcome of this movement is supposed to be. So I'm going to share the screen with you, and we're going to get right into this. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat brief. I know it's a holiday, and so, it being a holiday, I know you're ready to get back to your festivities, whatever they may be. But I do want to cover this, and, I'll respond and react as I go along. But, you can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make it up, man. I'm serious, bro. You can't make it up. So let me get right to this, man. Boy. It's crazy, man. So let me get right to it, man. All right, you see the article, man. It's about bonobos, man. I don't know if you know what bonobos are, but there are distant cousins, genetically speaking, along with the other members of the great ape families, chimpanzees, gorillas. But they're a member of the great ape genus. And one could argue, we share a common ancestry, genetically speaking. But this article is basically entitled, Bonobo Matriarchs Lead the Way. This is not, look, you got to actually pay attention to what people are actually saying. They're not saying that, they want a fair and an equitable society. They're saying, no, we want to pattern society after species of animals in which women are running things, where they're in control. And so basically, in bonobo culture, the subtitle of the article is Old Females Decide When and Where Their Tribe Will Travel. And of course, there's a picture of the bonobos there. So this is not in jest. This is not, making fun of black folks by making mention of bonobos and trying to call out black culture. This is not what this is. This is a discussion that's being had in popular culture by women who, for the most part, are saying we should be more like bonobos. Now, look, I've been saying this and I'll say it again. Neither men nor women are perfect. We're both subject to err. We're both capable of bringing viciousness into the world and harm and hurt. But the way that the story is being told, the way the narrative is being spun, you would think that men are solely responsible for all of the evil that's ushered into the world. And this viewpoint, to me, is just absolutely absurd. But anyway, I don't want to, hold too much of your time. I just want to read the article and you make your assessment yourself. But of course, I'm going to comment along the way. But to me, this is just absolutely insane. We are not bonobos. We're human beings. And our culture is the way that it is. We don't have the culture of bonobos. We're more like chimps than we are bonobos. That's just the way that it is. And women are responsible for the proliferation of the kind of culture we have just as much as men, because they also contribute to the establishment of the kind of culture that we have through the choices and decisions they make and the support that they give to the men who they're interconnected with, familially, culturally, and otherwise. So to act as if the product of the culture that we have is only something that men are responsible for is absolutely ridiculous to me, but that's the way the narrative is continuously spun. Okay, but anyway, man, let me get on to this. And yeah, what's up, BGS Hipmore? Make sure, man, that you like the video, man, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. We can do better than this. We can get the likes up. I know I've been gone away for a couple of weeks, but come on, y'all, we can get the likes up. And if you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down. It's all good to me, whatever way y'all want to do it. But anyway, man, so here's a picture of the bonobos grooming each other. And thank you. Shout out to Michael Ross. Appreciate the support. Also, shout out again to Javon Thompson, for his support. Appreciate that. So at any rate, man, let me get straight to this, man. So anyway, the article is written by Nala Rogers. It's a white woman, not a black woman. And another article that I'm going to show you is written by an Asian woman, not a black woman. Thank you, Lateef. So this is not something that's just taking place within the imagination and the minds. It's not the product of the ratiocination of just women who are black. This is something that is taking place within the mind space of a whole host of people from different cultures and backgrounds. But anyway, let's look at the article. It basically starts off by saying that when bonobos lounge in a fruit tree in the Luo Scientific Reserve in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the males are often the first to get restless. A few of the wiry apes climb down and begin dragging branches to get attention. sometimes striking out into the forest in apparent efforts to get the group moving. But most of the time, the other bonobos ignore them. Until the old females move down and start moving, all the group members don't move, said Takeshi Furiuchi, a primatologist at Kyoto University's Primate Research Institute in Inuyama, Japan. Usually, older females determine when and where to go. Okay? So in other words, you got a group of wiry males who want to get the group to moving, but they're not moving until the matriarchs get ready to move. We're going to stay stuck here. We're going to stay here until we get ready to move. Okay? So anyway, Nahoko Tokoyama, Furiuchi's colleague at the Primate Research Institute and lead author of the study, spent nearly 1,700 hours watching one of the Luo Scientific Reserve's bonobo communities. As expected, the oldest females usually called the shots, venturing off on their own schedules with the rest of the group in tow. So in other words, everybody in this group of bonobos are following the older or the eldest females around. Okay? That's just the way it is in bonobo culture. The findings recently published in Behavioral Ecology and Social Biology help reveal how some of humanity's closest relatives maintain peace and order in their female-dominated societies. Now, what's interesting to me about this is that the ideology, the spin here is that bonobo societies are violence-free, and that when women run things, there's more peace and more order that proliferates throughout the group. So when women run things, there's just more peace. Like, female bonobos are never violent, which they are. But I don't want to get into that right just yet. So anyway, the next section of this article basically demonstrates that, the bonobos have a primate matriarchy. Now, if you look at the animal kingdom, you'll usually notice that for most mammalian species, with a few exceptions, the men are the ones who dominate the hierarchies. That's just the way that it is. It is not something that I made up. It's not something that I'm trying to use ideologically in order to try to oppress and dominate women and to get them to do things that they don't want to do. That's not what I'm doing here. But truth is truth. Fact about the natural world is fact about the natural world. That's just what it is. But we don't want to talk about the ways that bonobos solve conflicts. And one can argue, I'm pretty sure that most of humanity does not want to move into that direction. I guarantee you. But I digress, man. Let me get through this article because I want to read another one as well. Okay? So, bonobos and chimpanzees are humans' closest animal relatives. So, basically, what is being articulated here is that among all of the species in the animal kingdom, we share more genetically with that of bonobos and chimpanzees more than any other species of animals. That's it. Okay? When the ancestors of humans split off from other apes, chimps and bonobos were not yet separate species. So we share equal kinship with both. But in the roughly 2 million years since chimps and bonobos split into neighboring populations in Central Africa, they have evolved radically different social behaviors. In chimpanzee society, every adult male is dominant to every female, and the strongest social bonds are between males. Males regularly attack and sometimes kill adults and babies from their own and neighboring groups, sometimes forming coalitions to do battle together. In contrast, said Furiuchi, Bonobo societies are relatively peaceful, with squabbles rarely escalating to serious violence. Female bonobos spend their time together in the center of the group, grooming, eating, and socializing. Often, two females will embrace and rub their genitals together. One of a rich suite of sexual pastimes common among bonobos of various sexes and ages. Often they will embrace and rub their genitals together. So this is where we're going, right? This is the movement. And let me say this. I don't know if it'll be, evinced or teased out in this article, but many of the ways in which conflict is resolved within the context of bonobo groups is that they have sex. Get mad, you have sex. There's anxiety, there's sex. There's a perceived infraction of one against the other, you resolve it through sex. Now, with the puritanical and, the almost pathological neuroticism related to sexuality in the Western world, and the idea that, don't touch, no means no, me too, believe her, and all of this kind of stuff, I know for a fact that these women do not want to move in this direction. I guarantee you. I guarantee you don't want to move in this direction. So you got a conflict with your partner. Okay, cool. Let's have sex then. No need to fuss and fight. Just give me some and we'll be all good. You get into an argument with somebody at work, give me some. Right now, think about the sexual mores and the sexual puritanicalism that exists within the context of Western culture and society at this very moment. And the fear and, the essence of the so-called rape culture. Think about it. Do you really want to move in this direction? I guarantee you do not. I guarantee you don't. And it must be said, a lot of times men get called out for being regressive in relation to the attitudes and the dispositions that they have towards so-called subgroups within the Black community, like people who are members of the LGBTQ community, or like women, or whatever the case may be. But come on, man. Are y'all really wanting to go in this direction? Some women are some of the biggest homophobes out here and use slurs related to homosexuality all the time as if it were nothing. But of course, you got to pin the tail on the donkey. You got to pin it on men. But anyway, look, and the one thing that I want you to focus on, two females will often embrace and rub their genitals together, one of a rich suite of sexual pastimes common among bonobos of various sexes and ages. So we're talking about adolescent bonobos, pre-adolescent bonobo. Is this where we want to go? That's the question I'm asking. Let's just be serious, man. At any rate, the lower ranks of bonobo society are gender balanced, with some males dominant to some females and vice versa. but the highest ranking individuals in a group are always the old females. Now, there are other animal groups or species in which women rule the roost. Hyenas, even elephants. Whales. There are other species in the animal kingdom where women rule the roost. But for the most part, males rule the roost. Okay? It just is what it is. So anyway, but the highest ranking individuals in a group are always the old females in bonobo society. Says Gottfried Hohmann, a primatologist and bonobo specialist at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, who was not involved in this study. As an example of the supremacy of bonobo matriarchs, Hohmann described what happens when a bonobo kills a monkey or a forest antelope. Now notice, some of the things you gotta read between the lines. When a bonobo kills a monkey, so they are killers. Don't get it twisted. A lot of people would like to romanticize bonobo culture as if, the bonobos are nothing but peace, sex, crazed hippies. That they don't engage in any violence. They don't exhibit any pathology. They don't get into any conflicts at all. That's just not the case, but they're often romanticized. Anyway, so what happens when a bonobo kills a monkey or a forest antelope? If the hunter reveals his or her prize to the rest of the group, an old female will eventually come and place her arm over it, calmly taking possession. So in other words, if you put your labor and effort as a bonobo male or a female monkey and you're not an elder, you don't get to take what you kill. You don't get to enjoy the bounty of your own hunt. But this is supposed to be better though, right? Now imagine if the story and the narrative was told in such a way as to demonstrate, how unjust a chimp society is, where the men come along and they take what the younger monkeys or the younger chimps have taken. It would be cast in a whole different light. But here it's just, peaceable. It's fair. Idealistic. I don't see the difference. I see somebody exerting their power over another group or another individual within the context of the group. I don't see what's romantic about it. But, it is what it is. Then said Hohmann, other bonobos will gather around, arms outstretched, for their share. Old females, they say, are not monopolizing the food in the sense that they say, you all have to wait until I'm satiated, he said. They allow others to participate, but in a controlled way. So in other words, she doesn't take it all for herself. She parcels it out and distributes it fairly. Sure thing, bro. Sure. Why are old females so respected in bonobo society? Past research offers some clues. Friends and rivals. While bonobos almost never kill each other, almost. Not saying they don't, but they don't kill each other a lot, very often. They do sometimes display aggression. In a study published last year, Tokayama and Foriuchi reported that if a male threatens a young female or pressures her for sex, the old females swiftly come to her defense. Many females around her collaboratively chase and attack and even bite that male severely, said Foriuchi. And then that male usually flees while screaming. By cooperating, the slightly smaller females protect themselves and enforce polite behavior on the part of the males, Foriuchi explained. In contrast, chimpanzee females rarely cooperate and they don't always get to choose whom they mate with. Now, by and large, man, women in human societies, females in human societies get to pick who they have sex with. We don't live in a chimp culture. We don't live in a bonobo culture. We live in a human culture. This is crazy, man. I'm just telling you what their ambitions are, bro. The cooperation between bonobo females is particularly interesting given that they typically aren't related. Meaning, if they not even family, they cooperate with one another in order to maintain dominance within the society of bonobos. As with chimps, bonobo males usually stay in the same location their whole lives, while females disperse to join new groups as they near adulthood. When young female bonobos join new groups, they immediately form bonds with old females who can protect and support them, said Fertility. Now, the question is, are not these old females having sex with these younger males that matriculate into their groups? You know the answer to that. At first glance, the matriarchs don't seem to benefit much from their young female followers. But in fact, said Fertility, they gain a huge evolutionary advantage through their sons. Old females are so influential in bonobo society that their sons become the most dominant males. So if you're an older female, your mother dictates and gives you access to sex. She's a madam, quite frankly. A bonobo madam. Like literally, like if so basically, this is preferential. What's different about hierarchy being maintained generationally? What's the difference? The favored sons have more mating opportunities. You know what that translates into. They get more of that whop. They get more whop. You can't make it up, bruh. But this is where we want to go, right? Because they're always in the center of where all the women are at. So they get access. You need to give him some, girl. That's my son. You need to give it up to him. You need to give him some. That means more grandchildren for the matriarch and more for her genes in future generations. Moving together. In the new study, the researchers investigated bonobo groups' movements to learn how the apes maintain their unique social structure. Over 4 years, Tokuyama followed a particular group of bonobos through the jungle, recording 254 occasions when they traveled together from one foraging spot to another. Each of the 15 adults initiated group movements at least once, but the bulk of departures were led by the 3 oldest females. The oldest, a 49-year-old matriarch named Bokuta. Remember that name now, Bokuta. Start calling them Bokutas. She got the group moving 3 times more often than would be expected by chance. The study focused on a single group of bonobos, and there's probably some variation among groups, said Tokuyama in an email. Nevertheless, researchers have observed similar behaviors in other groups, suggesting that matriarch-initiated movements are a common feature of bonobo society. You move when I move. When I move, you move. Just like that. Bonobos may benefit from following old females because of their knowledge on where to find food, as well as the protection they offer to young females, according to the researchers. The findings are no surprise to Holman, who has observed the leadership of bonobo matriarchs in his own research. But, he said, this is the first time anyone has systematically analyzed which bonobos initiate group movements, a challenging task in the ape's dense jungle habitats. Secret fertility. I haven't read this part. Researchers don't know for sure why female bonobos can rise to be leaders, while female chimpanzees are comparatively powerless. But, said Furiuchi, many think the key difference is that bonobo males can't tell when their females are fertile. In other words, they don't know. So the males in this culture are stupid. They don't know when the female bonobos are actually fertile. They just don't know. Both chimp and bonobo females go through receptive periods in which their genitals swell, signaling their readiness for sex. But in chimpanzees, this only happens once every few years, after a female has weaned her latest baby and is ready to become pregnant again. Receptive chimp females are rare, and males fight fiercely for any chance to mate. So even in the chimp societies, men, you would make it, it's not a rape culture. They wait until the female is ready to have sex, and then they compete with one another over access to the sex. That's what I'm being given in terms of an implication here, as I read between the lines. But anyway, receptive chimp females are rare, and males fight fiercely for any chance to mate. This has apparently caused male chimps to evolve big, strong bodies and aggressive personalities, possibly setting the stage for chimpanzee patriarchy, according to Furiuchi. So because they have to compete for sex with chimp females, they become bigger and more aggressive, which leads to more sexual dimorphism amongst the members of the chimp groups. Okay? Now we all know, like bonobos, they do have sexual dimorphism, but it's not as pronounced as it is with human beings. Okay? That's just a fact. There's not a lot of sexual dimorphism amongst bonobos as much as there is amongst human beings and chimpanzees. But you know, the funny thing about it is, in relation to sexual dimorphism in the human species, it is promoted by women and their selection in the men that they choose to mate with. These are facts. These are facts. Ask a woman, does she feel comfortable dating, marrying, or coupling with a man that is smaller than she is? Guess what their answer is going to be? No. They don't want short men. They don't like men who are shorter than they are, who make less than they make, who have less social status than they have. Unless, of course, if they want to, use him temporarily and discard him and dump him. But I mean, ultimately, when they imagine who their ideal partner is usually somebody who's bigger than they are because of their perceived desire for protection. But hey. So if it's the case that there is sexual dimorphism and that it leads to patriarchy, women are enforcing it through their sex selective practices. That's something you should know. They're reinforcing it. Female bonobos, in contrast, become sexually receptive during both fertile and infertile parts of their life cycle. You know what that means, bruh. You know what it means. It means bonobos are for the streets, bruh. Real talk, man. The bonobos about that life, man. They for the streets. Oh, man. They're sexually receptive all the time. They some big old freaks. They ratchet. They thoughts. Bonobos are thoughts. At any given time, bonobo societies have more female sex partners to go around. And each copulation is less likely to result in pregnancy. So the males, I guarantee you they got less testosterone. They probably shoot blanks. Oh, man. This is where we supposed to be going, right? Oh, man, you got mama setting it out to the sons. Who call the shots in order to preserve their genetic material and to proliferate it so that future generations have their genetic stamp. What's the difference, man? Like, what is the difference? Hierarchy is hierarchy. I thought the ideology was supposed to be centered around diminishing the hierarchy in general, which I think, you can't get rid of hierarchy. You can't do it within the context of a business. You can't do it in the context of a family. You can't do it in the context of a sports team. There has to be some hierarchy. Imagine a football team and there is no quarterback who is calling the shots on the field. Or on defense, there is no captain who's basically giving signals to the rest of the defense on what to do, calling audibles on the field to let them know how they're supposed to be playing defense at that particular point in time. Or imagine that in basketball, there is no point guard or captain of the team making sure that the other members of the team are doing their job on the court, or that there is no coach. Now, in the context of a pickup game, that's cool. But somebody's got to call the shots, or y'all be going everywhere. You're going any and everywhere. And this is especially the case when you're in conflict with other groups, which is bound to happen in the context of the human species. Human beings get into conflict and it results in death. That's just the way it is, man. It's been this way for millennia. Human beings engage in warfare. So imagine that there's no hierarchy in the context of warfare. You're going to die. Your group is going to die. The female's going to die. The children going to die. Everybody dead. Just take that into consideration. Take that under advisement. It's a reason for this hierarchy thing. Imagine that you got no differentiation between officers and enlisted servicemen. So everybody is equally competent to direct the activities of the warfare effort. It's asinine to even think so. They even say, they got the old saying, too many chefs spoiled the brew. If everybody is calling shots and making decisions, you can be guaranteed that there's not going to be any directedness within that effort. It's going to be disjointed, disconnected. It's going to be haphazard, chaotic, the whole nine. But hey. So anyway, at any given time, bonobo societies have more female sex partners to go around, and each copulation is less likely to result in pregnancy. Thus, bonobo biology places less pressure on males to compete for and control mates, potentially leading to social systems with more female autonomy, said Furiuchi. But hey, they putting out though. But the bonobos are setting it out. They spreading it around. They ain't playing passive-aggressive games. They setting it out. But anyway, human females seem to have a different way of hiding when they're fertile. They got rid of swollen genital stage altogether, becoming potentially interested in sex at any time, said Fariucci. Researchers can only speculate about what this means for human societies, which are famously diverse and flexible in their approaches to sex and gender. But, said Hoban, bonobos prove that it's possible for peaceful, egalitarian societies to emerge. Now, how is it egalitarian when the women run the shit? Explain it, bruh. I'm just asking the question, man. This shit is just rife with contradictions to me. If they run the shit, how is it egalitarian? Most hunter-gatherer societies, even chimpanzee societies are going to be more egalitarian than fucking human societies, especially the kind that we got, where you got all kinds of economic inequality, social inequality, political inequality. Like, to even ask to be able to come close to a fucking chimp or a bonobo society is absolutely absurd, given the circumstances in which human beings find themselves. We live in gigantic megaplexes within the borderlines of states with sovereignty, man. There's no way to coordinate the activities of such an amount of people, the large amounts of people, without there being some kind of inegalitarian hierarchies being set up and established. I'm just saying, man, I'm not trying to be ignorant, man. Do you think that we get even human bands of hunter-gatherer tribes were more egalitarian than the societies that we have now? So this whole thing is absurd to me, man. This is where science and feminism meet to basically generate absurd conclusions as far as I'm concerned. And not only that, if you look at human societies, man, you'll see that even within the context of the United States, man, white women have always had greater and better social standing than black men. Think about that shit. They used to be able to own your ass, bruh. You start talking about U.S. feminism and the suffragette movement. One of the objectives that these women had to black men being able to get the vote before they were able to get the vote was that you were allowing black men who don't really deserve it to have greater social standing and greater societal privilege than us. Who are your mothers, your daughters, your cousins, your sisters, and we're white. See, people get this patriarchy shit wrong, and they act as if it's only something supported and endorsed by men for their own benefit. That's just some bullshit, bro. Absolute bullshit. And I'm here to bring the pain hardcore to your brain. Let's go inside my astral plane. I'm here to tell you what it is, man, as far as my opinion is concerned. You can think what you want to think. You can believe what you want to believe. I'm just, hey. Anyway, bonobos prove that it's possible for peaceful, egalitarian societies to emerge even without sophisticated human achievements like the women's rights movement. And I always say this, man. Do you think that a white woman who is a noble woman in Victorian England is going to have less social status than a fucking indentured servant there? She's going to have less social and political influence than a fucking pauper? This is what I don't get, man, about the kind of narratives that are being spun. And what it does is, look, this is a way, like, as far as I'm concerned, feminism is a blunt instrument trying to perform brain surgery. There's no nuance, there's no context. It's a dualism. Like Manichaeism, an ancient Persian religion, where you had two deities. One was good, the other was bad. Of course, you know the category that men belong to contemporarily, the bad column, where women are virtuous and pure and good and Skittles and rainbow and sunshine. Men are pathological, vicious, and rapey, and a whole bunch of other epithets that are negative. How did this come to pass? Given the context of the culture in which we live in the history, we got the nerve to be proliferating a narrative which just basically says, okay, women are the oppressed, men are the oppressors. All men from every racial, ethnic, religious background, socioeconomic background, all participate in this collusive conspiracy to dominate all women throughout the entirety of the fucking planet. Come on, man. Like, all I'm saying is, man, we got to be accurate. The narratives that we're putting forth are absolutely absurd, given the historical context and the nuances of history. It's just ridiculous. So you mean to tell me a white woman who was able to buy and sell slaves was more oppressed than the actual slave? And that patriarchal system was something that didn't benefit her? Come on, man. Like, look, I'm just saying, man. Come on, bro. Can we get real, man? But I got one more article. It's way shorter than that one. But this is what they imagine. And look, this is the woman that wrote this. She's a staff writer, Nala Rogers. They lied. This is idealistic to them, this bonobo shit. Straight up. And you got to think, man, right now we live at a time in which you got a group of black women, man, who have co-aligned themselves with this fucking crazy shit. I just don't understand it, bro. I know people have a drive to be powerful. Like, we all do. And we want to get in where we fit in. But come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all co-signing this crazy shit? Yeah, Adam says this is the point, the part where feminists will accuse you of attacking a straw man. They will say the problem is patriarchy. But women are participants in the patriarchy. That's the issue. That's the point. That is the point. They're just as much as part of the patriarchy and had no objections or no reservations about the patriarchy until black men were about to have the right to vote. In the United States, for the most part, they was all good with the patriarchy. They was down with the patriarchy. But then they swung their Gucci booty feet over the fence of oppression. Now they got all this smoke for the patriarchy. They wasn't saying none of that shit during the time when the West was being forged forward and Native Americans were being relegated to genocide. They ain't have a problem with it then. They ain't have a problem coming over here while all these white dudes were committing acts of iniquity. They ain't have an issue with it then. Now they got all this smoke for the patriarchy. as far as I'm concerned, man, this is a smokescreen. That's how I look at this. This is all a means by which for them to be able to try to gain a piece of the pie that the patriarchy's carved out in the first place. That the men sacrificed themselves for and fought for this shit and subjected other people to violence and death. Now they want their spoils related to it. And ask me if they're trying to change the basic structure of the society in which we live. I'll say hell no. Because at the end of the day, they going back and forth to work. They trying to get the bag. They like to go shopping and shit. They're just as much neoliberals as the people that they claim are being neoliberal. This is where, hypocritical actions and activity merge with idealism and ideology. These women are competing for jobs. All of this is about them getting their share of the spoils of the society in which we live. They're not trying to usher in a new basic structure. They ain't trying to do that. They trying to get the bag, bruh. And that's my issue with it. Anyway, and it's not just women who are white that's doing this shit. You got so many people have been spellbound by this narrative that basically carves the world into a Marxist and a Manichaean dualism. Women oppressed, men oppressor. Damn the historical nuances and the realities that people throughout time have lived by. Fuck all that. We're just going to spin this narrative and talk about how men rule the roost. Although they don't want to date short men, they don't want to date men that have less than they have. They don't desire that. They want a man with status, right? That's one of their qualifications. He wasn't good enough for me because he didn't have X, Y, and Z. He didn't meet my standards. You're reinforcing the shit that you say you don't want. Through your sexual selection practices. But they don't want to have a conversation about that shit, though. Anyway, man, this article right here, man, Inferior, How Science Got Women Wrong, and the research that's rewriting the story. So this article is basically, scientists assumed that patriarchy was only natural, bonobos proved them wrong. So her favorite exhibit at the Cali San Diego Zoo is the bonobo enclosure, which a fucking group of animals in captivity. That's her favorite fucking place at the zoo. Which, by the way, one could argue, zoos in and of themselves are oppressive to the fucking animals that are there. They're in captivity and you go in there and enjoy some shit. If that's not a neoliberal contradiction, I don't know what the fuck is. But hey, not because this is a ridiculously randy species. Seriously, any age or sex will suffice. Not even because they alongside chimps or the species most closely related to humans, but because they live in what some primatologists believe to be a matriarchy, making them unique among the great apes, including ourselves. These bonobos, sometimes known as pygmy chimps, were selected for decades by primatologists, or were neglected for decades by primatologists who assumed they were just smaller chimps. But from the 90s onward, researcher Amy Parrish and others studied these bonobos and came to an astonishing conclusion. Chimps and bonobos are not alike. They're nothing alike. Chimps form violent male-dominated hierarchies, and bonobos are female-dominated, using sexual contact between both males and females as a kind of social glue. Now, I guarantee you, bruh, with the Me Too, believe her, no means no shit, y'all ain't trying to go in this direction, bruh. I've said it before. You ain't trying to do this, man. Y'all not trying to do this, man. You don't want to move in this direction. Oh, you made me mad. Well, shit, give it up then. I'll be cool then after that. Soon as I bust me one. Okay, here you go. You got access. With the neuroticism related to the whole narrative, especially the feminist narrative about sexual violence, this will never fly, bro. This will never fly. As puritanical as these people are, it will never fly, man. Y'all ain't trying to solve conflict through sex. You ain't trying to do it, bruh. They not trying to do it. I guarantee you they not trying to do it. I know they not trying to do it. Anyway, females form strong bonds even with females they're unrelated to. And this is the thing. Like, one thing you got to know about men, they also form alliances with other men that they're not related to. But so do women in this culture or in human societies or in human, groups. Women form bonds with women that they're not related to and call each other sisters and queens and goddesses and shit. And men do the same shit. But men often want to perceive themselves as being the alpha. So sometimes men get into conflict with each other in ways that women don't, but increasingly, as women get more power, you starting to see women get into more conflict with each other, even in the context of intimate partner relationships that they have with one another. Because the largest amount of violence that takes place in intimate partner relationships are among lesbian relationships, bruh. That's where the violence is. That's where more of it is. You hear them speaking out about that shit? You see any movies on Lifetime about them beating the fuck out of each other? No, you don't. So they can talk about your problems and your pathology, but they don't talk about their own. They're not self-critical and self-reflective. That's my issue. So anyway, man, as I explore my new book, Inferior, How Science... So all this shit is a plug for a fucking book, which is propaganda, right? How science got women wrong and the research that's rewriting the story. They got y'all wrong because what? Some fucking bonobos? Okay, I got you. I get it. Anyway, man, look. The discovery of bonobos, female-dominated communities, has had an enormous impact on how we understand humans. Really? I thought if we are going to understand humans, we got to understand humans. But okay, all right, okay. It opened fresh questions about our evolutionary roots. What kind of societies did our primate ancestors live in? Could they have been more egalitarian than the ones we have now? And for researchers like Parrish Bonobo, and here's the funniest shit about this, right? This is a privileged ass woman who's writing this shit. If you got time to sit there and write a fucking book about bonobos, you ain't got no serious stress in your life, goddammit. I'm keeping it real. You ain't about that inegalitarian life. You don't know what that's like, man. I'm just keeping it 100, man. A lot of these people, man, want to fight the power and shit. But you part of the power structure. You bourgeois, neoliberal motherfuckers got the nerve to virtue signal and grandstand from a fucking ivory tower, man. That's the shit that pisses me off, bruh. I swear to God, man. It trips me out, man. These privileged people, man, acting as if they're fighting and resisting against the structure, man, when they reinforce it through their day-to-day activities and throughout the entirety of the narrative of the way they live their lives, man. It kills me, bro. Straight up, I swear to God, it kills me. But anyway, for 40 years, chimp researchers had the corner on the market on man's closest living relative, says Parrish. We built all our models of evolution based on a chimp model. Patriarchal, hunting, meat eating. Of course, bonobos also are fucking meat eating. They hunt as well. Male bonding, male aggression towards females, although bonobo cultures have female aggression towards the males. And I'm pretty sure vice versa. This is the shit that gets lost in the translation. Like chimpanzees they even making chimps. They're turning chimps into motherfucking patriarchs, dog. These some fucking animals, man. It's crazy to me, bro. But anyway, bonobos have turned this all on its head, and this species male occupy the bottom of the hierarchy. At the end of the day, this is what they're after, bro. I swear to God. They want you to be on the bottom of the hierarchy, man. And the question is, will you accept it? Will you succumb to it? Will you submit and acquiesce to it? That's the quintessential question. They're not even arguing this. Think about it. They're basically, the assertion being made here, the implication to be drawn, and the emphasis to be drawn from all of this is that when women rule, the societies are more egalitarian and they're better and more peaceful. And everybody's better off. So we should just be able to take the lead, and we should stick to each other. You even got situations right now where women will stick with each other and sell out their own fucking family members, man. They'll bond with they girls before they'll bond with their own fucking family. It's crazy to me, man. But anyway, at least she admits that's not to say bonobos can't be violent. In one corner of the bonobos enclosure at the San Diego Zoo, I spotted a male bonobo cowering and shielding his hand, having just received an injury from a female. A good portion of his finger is completely raw and the skin is gone. But it's not uncommon that when males are injured, there are also injuries on the testicles or penis or anus. In the wild, male bonobos are protected by their mothers who give them access to food and mates. There we go again. So their moms are madams who set their ass out according to their own dictates and their own preferences in order to make sure that their own genetic seed or line is perpetuated. What's the fucking difference? In the wild, male bonobos are protected by their mothers who give them access to food and mates. Nursery reared and living in captivity, this male had no source of protection. Female violence towards bonobo males is common, particularly when males behave aggressively to assert dominance or give food. So if a motherfucker hungry and want to get eat or stand up for themselves, he gets slapped around. That's the way I'm reading that shit. That's the way I'm reading this. Fuck what they talking about, because the narrative is, females are violent only for a justified reason. They're taking anthropomorphism and applying this shit, this fuck narrative, to goddamn bonobos, man. This shit is sick, bro. Really? So the only reason the females get violent is for a good reason. And we talking about bonobos though, right? But they make sure to do if the nigga want to eat, if the bonobo monkey wants to fucking eat, then and he gets aggressive because he feel like he ain't got enough, then he gets smacked around. And that's where we supposed to be going. This is the egalitarian shit that they desire, right? Hey, man, you can't make this up, bruh. They have taken human sentiments and feelings about violence amongst men and women and applied this shit to the bonobos and have basically made the assertion that female bonobo violence is justifiable because men, when they get aggressive, they need to be put in check. And the only reason that they get violent is that's just like saying, you know, the woman in the household started to say some shit that she wasn't supposed to say and a man gave her a good slap. What the fuck is the difference? You want to know what they imagine? You want to know where they're going? I'm letting you know. But that's not because the female bonobos have any physical advantage. Indeed, as with humans, the females are slightly smaller. Instead, the females gang up and they cooperate to gain strength in numbers. So they bank on you not being able to click up and to work together. And you know, it's a difficult thing though, because men typically don't fucking work together. The only time men work together is during war. Especially in societies like these. And now you got all these men who are like, well, you know, like we got to give the women this and that. We got to defer to the women. They have it so hard. But the assumption is that they can't handle shit. That's why I say, man, fuck all that. I'm not about to be making sure everything is all fine and dandy for a motherfucker when they got all of the resources at their fingertips anyway. Like, men just do shit for women just because. Give them free shit at the restaurant. Buy them shit. Like, women will, and they feel free to ask you. Man, women will come up to you and ask you, will you do this for me? Like random motherfuckers. And expect for you to do it. Now let you ask one of them for some shit. I'm 6'3", so I can be in the supermarket and a woman will be like, it don't matter what race, nationality she is, she'll ask me, can you grab that for me? Will you do this for me? Can you do that? No reservations, bruh. Thank you, Rashid. Anyway, even so, they're not as aggressive as chimps, who have been known to occasionally go into other groups and kill everyone to gain control of territory, a behavior akin to a genocidal pattern. So the bonobos don't go in and maraud and raid other groups of bonobos like the chimps do. But humans sure do it. And women are a part of it. How many women serve in the military or have aided and abetted and acted as spies and conspirators in political schemes and in wartime efforts? Just look up women at war or women in war. They take sides. They draw lines. They pick up the flags, just like men do. Don't get it twisted, man. Like this is just a pure male enterprise. When it comes to sourcing food, bonobo females, we've been through this, they also wield power over, so they get to determine who eats and who don't. That sounds like some control to me. If you determining when and when I cannot eat, that's a problem for me. I'm sorry. One prey is far as antelope. So they do eat and they kill animals. They prey on antelopes. They flush the young ones out amongst the tall grass and they eat them raw. She described reports of males stuck under the branches of trees where females are feeding, throwing temper tantrums because they so desperately want some of the meat and they can't have any of it unless one of the females, the mother, co-signs it, gives them some. It seems like the male bonobos need to start a fucking revolution. Cause that's some bullshit if you ask me. I gotta wait to eat till you say so. Or look, or they can offer female sex in exchange for food. Man, oh my God, man. Oh, they gotta set out some D to get some food, bruh. Sound like a lot of situations some black men are in right now. Homosexuals. God damn, man. We gotta do something strange for a little piece of change. Man, I swear to God, bro. That's where y'all want to go with this? This is what they think is better in terms of a societal arrangement? The social stereotypes we humans often live by are, in bonobos, overturned. For Parrish, what makes bonobos fascinating is the solidarity that the females have with each other and how this gives them power. So this is, I'm telling you what they own, bruh. Here we can see females actually bonding with each other, maintaining those bonds, maintaining that loyalty. Females can be in charge. They can control the resources. They don't need to go through males to get them. They don't have to be subjected to sexual violence, although the males are subjected to sexual violence and whoring themselves out for resources. I don't see what the difference is. This is not a vision of egalitarianism. This is inverting the system that they say that they consider to be unjust. How you gonna replace some injustice with injustice in your mind? And so, well, I'm gonna tell you how, because we run it and it's more beneficial to us. That's how this is going. This is the mind state. So you better be aware of it. There you go, world-class meat, gynocracy. That's what they want, bruh. And they trying to sell it as if it's better. Better for who? Man, the last time I checked, it's a lot of people living good in the Western world, man. I'm just keeping it 100, man. Women and men living good-ass lives with conveniences that most human beings throughout the history of mankind have never been able to enjoy. And still, there's a lot of bitching and fucking complaining. You got motherfuckers complaining about washing clothes, cooking dinner, and all this shit. Think about it, man. It doesn't take time to make anything anymore. You go buy bread. You used to have to bake bread. Wasn't no supermarkets and shit. Wasn't no refrigerators. Wasn't no microwaves and ranges. Somebody had to go cut the wood in order for y'all to eat. Somebody had to churn the fucking butter to make the milk, to sterilize it. You had to make clothes and shit like that. Like the conveniences that people enjoy in Western culture, they should be looked at upon as blessings to some degree. But not these motherfuckers. Let it get barbaric in the world again and see what they think. And we assume that this society is permanent. That it will always be this way. That there will always be a safe and a secure and a stable civilization. You don't know that. One thing we do know is that civilizations rise and fall. That's one thing we know for certain. All you got to do is go examine the history books. You will see that. Anyway, man, I'm gonna get through this article so I can be done with this shit, bro, before I get hot. Anyway, although science remains overwhelmingly male, why is science overwhelmingly male? Because it's primarily men who choose to go off into it. It ain't that you don't have access to science. You can be scientists now. Primatology is an oasis of female domination, exemplified by pioneers Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey. Parrish herself is the former student of Barbara Smuts, another leading ape researcher. Today, a professor emerita of psychology at the University of Michigan. Taking inspiration from her observation of primates in '95, Smuts wrote an academic paper exploring the relationship between feminist theory and evolutionary theory. Both, she wrote, focus on power and sex. In bonobos, the male-dominated patterns of power and sex seem to be switched in favor of females. Among most primate species, females experience violence at the hands of males who want to mate with them. Although it should be noted, females almost always put up a fight. Bonobo females, on the other hand, stand out in not being victims of sexual coercion at all. Bonobo males that attempt to force sex are thwarted by the bonobo, but not the other way around, because if you want some food, you got to give up some penis. Feminists would call that financial exploitation. But, you know, I don't even want to get into all of that. I'm not going to go there right now. Because they do have something called financial abuse for women. I mean, any way that they can think of the way that they have a disadvantage, they discuss it and talk about it. Bonobo males that attempt to force sex are thwarted by the bonobos. Strong female-female bonds. If males want sex, food, or status, they often have to go through dominant females first. So if I'm going to have sex, I got to go holler at my mama. Okay, son, you can go have some. What? Man, while there are other matriarchal species out there, including elephants and killer whales, bonobo females are highly unusual among primates. When Parrish took on the mantle of studying bonobos, she found that females had these really intense and enduring friendships with each other, and that was even more rare among mammals. In contrast, males had looser bonds. The males can be friendly, they have sex with each other, but it's nothing like the intensity or the scope that we see in the females. Man, it's always tricky drawing parallels between humans and other species, even those as close to us as chimps and bonobos. The fact is that we are neither. Thank you, now you're beginning to make some sense. We may never know how our evolutionary predecessors behaved. We can know how they behave because we still behave that way. And the lives of other primates may be misleading guides in understanding ourselves. Moreover, even if we did discover that male or female domination are somehow programmed into our DNA, it wouldn't explain the rainbow of complex human cultures we see today. In most ways, humans have transcended biology. By and large, we are no longer living by the rules of nature, having invented societies and settlements to suit us. And there is no single pattern of behavior common to every single one of us, including patriarchy. Though rare, there are some female-dominated cultures, such as the Musuo in China. But bonobo behavior does offer at least one clear lesson for humans. The bonds among females are crucial to primates and women's well-being. The communities in which women have least control over their lives and are at most risk of male violence, or at the most risk of male violence, are ones in which they are separated from their kin and have little support. When women are isolated, often by marriages, there we go, attacking marriage again and talking about how women are just subjected to violence, which is some bullshit, given the context in which we know intimate partner violence and violence takes place amongst people in these fucking relationships. We already know what it is. We know that women are just as likely, if not more likely, to commit acts of violence against their male partners than are men to women. And we also know that women are more likely to be violent towards one another in the context of intimate partner relationships than even heterosexual relationships, bruh. But nobody wants to talk about that shit. Nobody wants to even have a conversation about that. But oh well. When women are isolated, here we go with this domestic violence shit. These people are fucking fanatical, man. I'm telling you, bruh. These people have an agenda, man. I swear to God. That's why I read this shit to you, bruh. I'm telling you what's going on through their minds. This is not about equity. This is about them sticking together and being able to run shit. I'm telling you, bruh. I'm not going to even read the rest of this shit, man. I'll read the last paragraph. Observing bonobos can offer inspiration to those who want to carve out a different future. A future where you got to have sex for food. And where your mama tells you when you can have access to sex. All females are sisters. Even though you got real for real brothers in your fucking family, it's time for y'all to act like sisters to every goddamn woman you come into contact with. Man, I'm done, bro. Like, you know, if you want to talk about this, you can, man. I'm going to take a break. If you don't want to talk about it, I'm done, man. I'm about to get the fuck up out of here. You know? I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to talk about this Mercedes Moore situation, even though, you know, it's been run to death. But I'm going to do it from a unique angle when I do it. Because I'm going to bring in a feminist to talk about it. And I'm just going to show, you know, even though she's a feminist I can actually, you know, tolerate. Because she makes sense. And she's critical of feminists, which I think is missing, man. It's one thing to have a girl code, but if your code is based on lies, deception, and subterfuge, I can't, man, look. I can't move like that, bro. But anyway, man, it's Labor Day, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all, bro. I'm not gonna even wait to see if somebody wanna to get on and hop on, man. I'm about to just hop off, man, and do me. I'll see y'all tomorrow, dog, and I promise I'm gonna be back tomorrow. So I'll holler at y'all later, man. It's been one. It's the Green Gorilla channel, but we've been talking about bonobo culture and how it's supposed to be utilized as inspiration for women throughout the world to bond together to smash the patriarchy. Man, the truth is stranger than fiction, bro. But anyway, man, I'll holler at y'all in the next one, bro. Peace out.